Factoring quadratics. So we've gone from factoring polynomials that are more than 3 terms using a grouping method. Now we're going to factor polynomials that happen to be trinomials, 3 terms. In the first type, this is very key, the leading coefficient. Remember, coefficients are the integers. Sometimes they're not integers, but most of the time you're going to see them as integers that are attached to the variable. So in this case, look at that invisible 1 that's attached to the n squared, and that's the a value. B is the 2 that's attached to the n by itself, the n to the first, and then c represents the constant. So here's the process. We're going to use a table over here. You multiply a times c and get that result, get that product. So 1 times 1, well, that's just 1. I'm going to put it right there. And then you take factors of result of the product that will add up, to the b value. Well, this one's pretty easy. Factors of 1 are just 1 times 1 or -1 times -1. Well, which of these set of factors add up to +2? The 1 times 1. This is very key. Only when the leading coefficient is 1, only when a trinomial begins with a variable squared and the invisible 1 next to it, when you find the factors, you can immediately go to, those are both positive, so n plus 1, n plus 1. And we're not going to solve for n yet, we're just showing the factoring process. And how I learned in high school, I'll just rewrite it. Hold on just a second. How I learned in high school, I didn't learn the table way, so I'm going to show some of you will get this. N squared plus 2n plus 1. Automatically put 2 sets of parentheses. Remember, only when that leading coefficient is 1. And then you just ask yourself, a trinomial means that there's going to be 2 binomials. This is n squared, so there will be an n to the first and n to the first. And then it'll be factors of this number that go here and here. And these 2 factors have to add up to the b value. Well, in this case, it has to be 1 and 1. All right, let me show you, use a different example. Let's try x squared minus 6x, oops, I was going to do n again, plus 8. There's the table method, that invisible 1, 1 times 8, 1 times 8 is 8. Factors of 8 that add up to -6. So you have, if this is positive and this is negative, both factors will be negative. So -1 and 8, -2 and 4, and -2 and -4, excuse me. It's easy to see which are the factors, so then you can say n subtract 2, n subtract 4, or you could say n subtract 4, n subtract 2. Remember, just like 4 times 5 means the same thing as 5 times 4, because these are just factors, it doesn't matter which order you put that in. And then I'm going to show you the method that I learned when I was in high school. This first thing is squared. The first term is squared. You just bring down the x right here. It's going to be factors of 8. Whoops. That add up. Oh, I'm not doing this very well. That add up to a negative number. So if this is positive, I know I have to have two negative amounts, and it's either going to be 8 and 1, or it's going to be 4 and 2. And because negative 4, negative 2, so you can actually get pretty good doing that in your head, but the table method is very reliable. So that's factoring quadratics when the leading coefficient is 1.